Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, you can see it and you can purchase it on our website, thewatchbox.com. And today we are discussing the 1990s Omega Seamaster Professional Diver 300 meter mid-size in a combination of stainless steel and red gold. It is an intriguing timepiece that takes you back to the early days of the Bond-style Seamaster and really the revitalization of the whole Omega brand built around that line. So this is already a time-tested style classic, but in 36.25 millimeters, it wears well on smaller wrists. You can see my 16 centimeter circumference wrist wears this one easily. It's not thick. Pre-coaxial, it's only 11.3 millimeters thick, so it'll slide underneath any cuff, no matter how tight. Two ways to measure the watch. Lug-to-lug, if you measure the case, it's 42.8, but if you measure the solid end links of the bracelet, it's a more substantial 49 millimeters across, so it does have a full-sized wrist presence. The 41 millimeter version of this watch wears a bit larger, just as this 36.25 wears more like a 38. This is a timepiece that is very versatile, handsome, and it's probably one of the few cases where I can say a two-tone 90s watch almost feels measured and discreet. The spacing between the lugs is 18 millimeters if you like to accessorize, but the bracelet and the clasp were headliners for this model family back in the 1990s, and I really feel like you need to give them a chance, because though they have an interesting hybrid dress watch, sports watch look, these individual links are redoubtable. They've stood the test of time. Something very similar to this is still in the catalog in 2019. Following the 2018 redesign, the staggered alignment, the staggered link size, the polished intermediates, the satin finished primaries, all of that has been retained. This is a time-tested design that is in no way derivative of a Rolex bracelet, and that's hard to say anywhere in the industry. Of course, back in the 90s, we used pin sleeves to size our Omega bracelets, and you can see that there's actually a half link built in for precise sizing. You've got that half link on both sides. You've also got a deployant clasp, trigger release. This was a revelation, milled out from the solid. Back in the day in the 1990s, this made the stamped Rolex Oyster clasp feel like a toy and not a substantial toy. This is a well-regarded clasp even to this day, as the machined fold-out dive extension remains iconic of the model, but also still quite useful over dry suits, wetsuits, or simply thick winter coats. And with twin-trigger deployant action, this one cannot pop open by accident. Rolling back to the case is familiar to just about everyone who knows Omega. You have the polished bevels that flare at the ends, the lyre style lugs. You have the mid case that's relatively slim with longitudinal satin finish, and of course you have the helium escape valve, present and correct. Functionally, this watch is identical to the full size. So you get the helium escape valve for saturation dives, you get the 300 meter water resistance, and you get the caliber 1120 automatic in chronometer spec. Now, the bezel is a lovely piece because unlike the conventional watch, which featured an anodized aluminum insert, here we get blue lacquer inlaid on a solid gold insert. And the action is admirable. It feels good and it sounds good. It's chunky, it's sharp, it's precise. More precise than I remember these 90s Seamasters being. So the bezel feels good. The only downfall is that it's got a rather shallow knurling that can be difficult to pick up if your hands are wet or sweaty. Now you line up the luminescent pearl. By the way, full tritium on this watch. This is no Fotina. This is the real thing. Beautifully faded and warm. It's become visually consonant with the applique rose gold features and the rose gold gilt style printing of the dial. Align the minute hand, Bond skeleton style, of course, with the pearl. Now, at least during the day, you've got a 0 to 60 minute countdown timer, which I find more useful than a chronograph. Give me a dive bezel over a chronograph any day of the week. You have the lovely Omega Wave in matte blue on the base, and the array of colors, the white of the date wheel, the gilt style gold printing with the gold applique, the faded tritium, the little shock of red, and the matte blue. It is a gorgeous looking watch. Now, screw down crown, of course, with sheer guards underneath the case back. 23 jewel Omega caliber 1120, which succeeded the prior 1109. Now basically it's an ETA 2892A2 in chronometer spec, so it's COSC certified, but Omega makes a few changes, increasing the power reserve from 42 to 44 and the jewel count from 21 to 23. Otherwise, you've got the same bidirectional automatic winding, You have stop seconds, you have a quick set date, you have a 28.8 beat rate, 300 meter water resistance, and of course the helium escape valve. The quick set and the stop seconds allow you to set the watch precisely, and these remain very tough and precise watches even 2 decades on. To this day, they can easily be made to beat COSC specs. So you've got a watch that is functionally, internally, and in terms of dive features, identical to the 41mm full size. The only difference, this one has slightly better manners, and it wears two-tone more gracefully than the 41mm full size. I can endorse this watch for wrist as small as 13 centimeters circumference. See it and live the 1990s dream on the Watchbox.